13th day of May. Tammy?
Epley?
Here.
Gunther?
Here.
James?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
Simmons?
Here.
If we could rise for the recommendations.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair. Mark, the agenda's before us. Are there additions or corrections? Or?
No changes, Mayor.
Thank you. The minutes, we have many minutes. Tammy has done the April 1st, April 15th, and then the strategic planning meeting on April 24th. Do I hear a motion for approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Questions, additions, comments? Anyone? Hearing none, we'll just do all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Special order of the day, Mark Gifford.
Hi, Julia, please join me up here. Mayor, I got to meet briefly Julia Harris, who's the new director of Anna Pantry, at a Rotary meeting. And I said, well, you need to come to City Commission and meet these fine folks. So I invited her, and she's here and gonna tell you about herself.
Very good.
Just briefly. I won't take up, but I did see I was on the agenda.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm Julia Harris, and I'm only 4 weeks in, so just a month. At Manna Pantry, which is located on State Street, if you're not familiar with it. We have a mission of serving as many underserved families and individuals as we possibly can to fight hunger. And as with everything, time and money is the biggest commodity we all have, and it's no different for not-for-profit agencies like Manna Pantry. So if you know yourself, your neighbor, anyone who wishes to donate time or money in volunteerism, we have plenty of opportunities for you. We serve over 500 households a week, and we have a mobile pantry on Saturdays once a month where we serve about 170, 180 households at that mobile pantry. So we're doing some really good work. It is a pleasure to serve with the board. The board is intelligent, forward-looking, and passionate about food insecurity. And there's a lot of it. If you haven't noticed, it's growing. So the need doesn't go away, it doesn't diminish, and we're here to help in whatever way we can. So feel free to give me a call or stop by the pantry, and we would be just thrilled to have you. And thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Questions for the commission? Have you been here long enough to figure out how you mesh your services with Angels of Action and the one at the United Church, Starburst and
Starburst,
that-
yeah. So with the mobile pantry, we all do collaborate with the delivery on the mobile pantry. And I think that's a huge opportunity, actually, for us to look at more collaborative efforts and less redundancy. I think overall it could diminish operating expenses for all of us. And I think there would be expertise that each siloed individual, right, not-for-profit could bring together in a not-for-profit sector and really create a plan for the city and the county. We serve both Mecosta and Osceola counties in Manna Pantry. And our partners are Feeding of America in Mid-Michigan, Community Action. And if you know them, they are extremely generous with what they do for us and for all of Michigan. So I do think there's opportunity for collaboration, and that is one of my, I hope so.
Very good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Others, questions from the audience as well? Hearing none, thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
We have a long agenda, and you're more than welcome to find dinner if you.
Okay.
Next, we're going to do a study session on the budget that we're trying to finalize here before June, I think, huh, Mark?
We are, Mayor, and it's coming quick, but we need your input, we need the public's input, and Carla and I are gonna tag team this presentation a bit, just as we did in the packet. And so I'll start, and my first comment would be a big thanks to Carla and her team. A lot of work is represented here. But I just also want the commission to know that you have a group of department heads and city employees that really take this serious. They don't spend money just because it was budgeted. They don't ask for more than what they need. It's a real team collaborative effort, and I very much appreciate that, as I know Carla does as well. I put together a memo, and I just want to walk through some of that and field any questions that might arise. There's, for the public, there's copies over there. It's the memo from myself to the commission dated May 1st. The first section talks about revenues. Sort of the three big general fund revenues are property tax, income tax, and revenue sharing. Property taxes up. We have probably a number of uncapped properties within the city with a lot of sales. We have some new construction, and assessments went up, I believe 5% this year. So that's all represented in an increased property tax collection from, I'll just round numbers here, from about 2.3 million to just over 2.6. Income tax is slightly up from the 3 million that we are projecting for this year to just shy of 3.1 for 2024-2025. We've talked at length about revenue sharing and the challenges of a reduced census, and it's represented here from 1.65 is what we had budgeted last year, which is prior to knowing that we wouldn't, that our, you know, for sure that our numbers would be going down to the 1.38 that we project we'll receive this year. Marijuana excise tax is a little bit deceiving, as I pointed out in here, because we've, I think, 2 years in a row got almost a similar number. I think it was 860,000 roughly 2 years running. Those are with two different numbers of businesses in the community. I think one was 18 and one was 15. And we've purposely in the past budgeted lower, just trying to get some comfort level with that revenue source and what it would come in as, and be conservative. This year we're trying for the first time to be as accurate as we can. We have 11 operating businesses, and estimated that at the $60,000 per. That gets us to $660,000, which is actually more than we budgeted, but we see that as a fairly significant decrease in what we've collected in the past couple of years. So roughly, we believe it'll go from 860 to 660. That's the numbers. Total for this, the general fund is 12.5. We have a slight budgeted deficit, which you'll say, well, you can't budget in a deficit. No, we can't, but that's where our fund balances will come into play. And so that's purposely at about a $250,000 number, which represents the effort to try and purchase a new fire truck. So those numbers are similar for a reason. Total, including all funds, is 29.8 in revenues and 31.3 in expenses. Now, specific things that I just want to roll through. We're really excited at the opportunity of having Steve Gove on full time. I know that's something that the commission has talked about, and we're definitely excited about that. Another thing that's not unfamiliar to the commission is the need to have some redundancy in the clerk's office, as later on in our agenda we'll hear about Tammy's retirement. So to have a smooth transition, we're going to need more than the two current staff in the clerk's office, and so we budgeted for that. 3.5% pay increase would go to all non-bargaining, non-union staff and police and fire. It does not include our AFSCME representatives, because that is bound by their contract. However, we have offered them a deal that would get them also to 3.5%, so we're working on that. Computer crimes is a partnership between our police department, Ferris State University's police department, and the county sheriff's office, where we would collectively fund an officer or a person that would be specialized in helping investigation that deals with phones, computers, and the such. So that's been something that's been worked on for, I'd say a year and a half, and looks like we're going to be able to get there. I know Brad is looking at an agreement that would come to the commission at some time in the future that would put that whole package together. So, okay, $250,000 for a new fire truck. We have a 1998, I believe, that we're currently operating under. We are we need to have two engines that report. For, again, that redundancy factor. The commission knows that we bought a new one maybe 4 or 5 years ago. This would be our second, a new one, replacing a 1990s vintage fire engine. Total cost is estimated to be more like $500,000. But there is an extremely long lead time in purchasing, and we believe that $250,000 gets one ordered. So, that's something that, and I should have prefaced all of these expense things, maybe not all of them, but all the outright purchases, just because if the commission chooses to adopt a budget that includes them, you will see them individually. So just budgeting does not authorize the purchase. And so if we want to include this fire truck, we'll have a lot more in terms of presentation on why we need it, how we can buy it. We'd have to go out to bid, all those types of things. The public safety department, namely the administrative office where April sits, right inside the police department, for a number of different reasons, we're looking at remodeling that area for privacy, for being more proficient in our workspaces, and so that's the idea is that would cost around $60,000. We've had some discussion, I believe, at the commission table about purchasing a side-by-side vehicle that would allow us to have a more regular patrol of our trail system and the White Pine Trail, and we have that estimated at $50,000. The alley behind what I'll call Big Rapids Pennzoil, but there's other businesses along there looking to get that paved. We have long wanted restrooms in North End Park, and our staff is looking to undertake the construction of that restroom facility. And there's permitting with septic fields and wells, and we have to buy engineered plans and obviously all the materials. So we're estimating that to cost $160,000, which is included in the draft. Maybe a month ago or a month or two, Michelle brought to us a grant application that would do an accessible trail that starts and ends by the pool and crosses Mitchell Creek Park and allows folks who maybe have challenges in their lives and getting around to be able to enjoy aspects of Clay Cliffs Park, because right now that's almost impossible. We have payments on the Hemlock Park bonds, $88,000. Mechanic Street bonds, $61,000. We'll remember that we are assessed for 20 years principal and interest payments towards the Ives Drain, just shy of $126,000. Looking to start a fund that would put money aside for when the Hemlock Street culvert needs replacement. We know it's going to need it, and this is a starter on that effort at $25,000. Water main replacement and paving along Fuller, $685,000. We mentioned maybe prior to the meeting how a previous commission has dedicated $1 million of our property tax levy that go towards paving, and $1 million for us is $196,500, and so we have that in this budget. Paving of South Stewart from Maple to Linden, I think it's just by the courthouse there. by Commissioner Epley's, through there, that road's in rough shape. We've talked about North Fourth, along where the co-op is, and certainly many are aware how bad Waterloo is. So those are the ones we're looking to pave, $285,000. Something that's on the commission agenda later is the pool fees. We have them budgeted in this draft budget as free to all, so no fees. Downtown flowers are always a big hit, but they're also costly, about $20,000. Airport runway, all the aspects of that and the borrowing that goes along with it is included, as well as the first payment of our airport fencing, which we finally have been able, we've received the money for that project. Replacement of a dump truck, continued funding our wastewater treatment master plan, which the commission will hear more about in the future. Water plant, we have clarifier painting at $560,000, SCADA upgrades at $230,000. Water system, a piece of equipment that assists in valve turning, that's estimated at $100,000. The Hills of Mitchell Creek water system upgrades at $500,000. Last two in terms of expenses that were included in, or that are a part of this budget. This will be the first year taxpayers, if you've read your tax bill, have on a levy that relates to the retirement system of police and fire. It's known as Act 345. The defined benefit portion of that is fully funded for the first time. And so we'll have a millage reduction within the city. I'm estimated at 2.5 mils lower than it was previous. Something I have not talked to the commission enough about is that last bullet. And in fact, we have on the, I believe, June 3rd commission agenda for Carla's going to do a full study session or work session discussion on unfunded DB liability that does not apply to police and firemen. It's substantial, it's costly. This year, our payment is about $925,000 towards that, and you will be learning more. We all will be learning more as I talked about in June. There are some things that got cut in terms of projects that were requested. It's namely, well, it's some paving parking lots. The lot that we know as behind Patterson Flowers or behind the Nisbet building, we looked at paving that and weren't able to get it in the budget. Public safety's rear parking lot, that's the same. DPW parking lot is, we're just gonna have to hold off on those. At least that's, unless the commission wants to change that, which it certainly can do. Remarciting the deep end of the pool. This is not a total cost. I think this is a third, or yeah, we're looking at maybe 150 and might even be more to remarcite and marcite is the finish on the pool. And we spent, I would say, about that amount to do the shallow end a number of years ago. And the shallow end is the primary one because that's what people touch. The deep end, you're not touching it. And if the marcite wears off or goes away, you know, you can have people cutting their feet and that kinds of things. So it's the finished part of the pool, and this is just a third of what we believe the total cost would be. We had some money we talked about doing for some planning about it, how to better connect the depot and the downtown. We still want to do that work, but just weren't able to include it so far anyway. And then the last one I have, Mayor, is drinking fountain replacement. We feel like that can wait another year to be replaced. So, and but I'm happy to answer any questions, and I know Carla has another component part of this presentation. So, however, Mayor, you're.
Let's do questions first on your portion.
Okay.
I had a question for Michelle. Aren't there grants for maybe putting bathrooms at North End Park? Seems that'd be a real.
We always keep our eye out, Mayor, for grants that might help fund any of our projects going on. But right now, there's none that I know of that are available.
Thank you. Questions now for Mark's portion?
I have one.
Please.
For the Remar sighting of the pool, about how frequently is that recommended to be done? Like, I know sometimes we do things preventatively because, you know, do we have like 5-10 years? Is it something that we're concerned about? Or is it something that this is just our maintenance schedule where typically we'd start trying to plan to pay to get that done now?
Heather Heather, I'll jump in. She probably has maybe a more precise answer. I believe in 20 years working here, we've done the shallow end twice that I've worked here, so that's a little bit of a reference. Yeah, it doesn't last as long as you would think, but our shallow end has really been the primary focus. I don't know if we've done the deep end in a long time that I'm aware, so.
We haven't.
Yeah.
And we do have some Marsite that we purchased from last year, so staff have been really taking control of, maintaining the deep end, so that way where it is coming off in chunks, it does. And even they're doing it themselves, so that we can save time.
So our guys have been doing spot fixes.
Okay.
But to redo the whole thing, we would not have that capability, and, yeah, I think you're looking at, 10, 15-year life kind of thing,
So
but that
some-
one probably hasn't been done in 20.
Okay,
if
so
that-
something we
yeah.
need to definitely be thinking about soon, but probably if it hasn't been an issue yet with the maintenance we've been doing, it's not an issue this year. Okay.
Other questions for city manager? Hearing none? Carl, oops.
All right, oh my gosh, I could wait till the end
No,
though.
go ahead.
So I think I'm reading this wrong, but were revenues down on like the water, sewer? Like if the amended budget was
3 million and our activity is at 2.2.
or am I not doing the math?
Which page are you looking at, Commissioner?
35.
35? Oh, 2.2, so the activity, you're looking at activity versus budgeted, so this is probably these numbers are as of the end of,
I didn't know if it included
April.
projections or not.
That was at the end of.
yeah, and
Okay,
you just
so
have months to go.
It doesn't include,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, it
that's-
has months to go, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mark's portion? Carla, are you ready to
I am.
fire away?
So I'm gonna focus on the general fund and kind of help you understand how to read the budget there. Mark did go over the property tax there as far as where we see increases in the revenue and the decrease in the mills for the Act 345. And that's based on an actuarial, report that the actuarial does. If that's something that you're interested in hearing more about, they would be more than happy to make that presentation to the commission, so that's something to think about there. So we're continuing to fund the DC, the defined contribution retirement plan, that's what results in the reduction to that, so we're excited about that. You'll see reduction in your property taxes. We're gonna continue to levy the mill for the street program, library operations, the mill dedicated to the repayment of the Hemlock Park improvements. There is also a fixed millage allocation if you're in the DDA district of 2 mills that continues to fund projects in that district and renovations as that goes. The general fund continues to provide subsidies to a number of funds that provide projects and services to the community. And where you would see that is at the very end on page 9 of the general fund, transfers between funds out. The contribution to the local street, that's the dedicated mill there. We continue to provide support to the pool to keep that fund in balance, as well as the library, the airport, Hemlock Park, Mechanic Street, and to Dial-A-Ride. Also, with the general fund, the fund balance is very healthy. Currently, it sits at 3 million, and for us, that's great. It's been 1 million, 2 million, it's projected to end at 3 million, so we're very excited about that. That's Mark worked really hard on getting the general fund revenue and expenses to be pretty close together. So there were a lot of things that were cut and some things that were added. So we're very, very happy about that. To see that projection for our general fund balance. When you're looking at the general fund, you're looking at the revenues, and you've got different categories, you've got taxes, and Mark spent some time talking about the property tax and the income tax and the marijuana tax. We've also got licenses and permits, we've got business licenses, franchise fees, Charter Communications Spectrum pays us quarterly for that. We get marijuana licensing fees of $5,000 from each business, and that's a yearly fee that they provide. We have housing rental licenses. The city does that inspection program, and we get money from that. Grants, so we get fees from the liquor license commission based on revenue that they take in, and so if you've got a new business that's getting a new license, that could be higher or it could be a little more significant. There's a number of grants that we get for public safety. We've got our state grant from fire protection, which is $500,000, that continues to go up. We have our annual maintenance fee, Act 48, which is the Metro Act fund. Our DDA grant for Clay Cliffs that we're expecting to $400,000. And we get state PPT reimbursement for personal property that was cut. So the state is trying to reimburse us for some of that cut. Of course, our state revenue sharing, sales tax, constitutional tax, and then there's other components to that as well. They've added a public safety part of that, and we continue to get that as well. And that we got because we submit reports to get that extra. Charges and services, we got court-ordered reimbursements, East Side officers, the cybercrime reimbursements that we'll be getting, and the fire contracts that we have with Green, Norwich, Barton, and then Goshen. And we do the payroll for housing commission, so we're looking at upping that from, because since we started it, it's only been like $5,000. We're looking at upping that, because it is, it takes some time. It's a service that we provide to them, so we're gonna up that. We have the IT external services reimbursement, and the IT department works with the county, they work with, let's see, who else do they work? Housing Commission.
Reed
City, yeah, so it's a number of services that they provide to these other departments, and so we bill for that as well. And that category also includes all the recreation programs. In addition to the daddy-daughter dance, they've now added the mother-son event, so that's nice to see that they're continually adding new programs. Fines and forfeitures, that includes parking violations that our department issues, and that could be anything from parking on the street during the winter time, or parking on your lawn or anything like that. There's a number of different ones. I don't know them all. Ordinance fines that we get from the county. And alarms for public safety, what that is if there's a false alarm, you have so many false alarms, and we're gonna bill you $50. And we get that list from public safety. Interest and rent, so interest earned, all the different funds earn interest based on how much interest we take in. And we're finally starting to see that come back up, because interest, as you know, has been low. And let's see, we also have we're gonna be getting Housing Commission mechanic is gonna be contributing some money to us for those services. Our opioid settlement comes into this category. We
also get a credit card rebate from Fifth Third. So we have what we call a purchasing card from Fifth Third Bank, so that's what the city, each department has a credit card. And then we also have like a large card that we use to, we might pay a bill, because based on, you know, if we pay something that's higher, we get a higher rebate. Yeah, we've got a number of other banks that are interested in selling us their program as well, compared to what we're currently getting from Fifth Third. So we're gonna start looking at that to see if maybe we can get a higher rebate if we go with another bank. And transfers between funds in, that's a revenue source for the general fund. Every fund that you see listed there, the general fund provides them services. So there's a calculation that's done, and this is based on a number of expenses that we look at the budget from the previous year, what their percentage is, and then audit services. There's just a number of different things that gets allocated there, so that's what you see there. Then we go to the appropriations, and of course the fund is 101 for the general fund. There's a department within that, so starting you have the city commission, and that's 101s, and then you have mayor's office, and from there on you have a number of different departments. And when you get to the end on page 9, we have some debt service that we pay out of the general fund related to Hemlock Park and to Mechanic Street. We kind of spread that across some different funds in Mechanic Street, so. And then we have we talked about these contributions to the other funds. These are some subsidies that we provide to these other funds. You know, like I say, we worked really hard at getting that net of revenue appropriations down to where it is, to keep our high fund balance in the general fund. I kind of was just focusing on the general fund. If you'd like me to look at any of the other funds, no.
I think that is it, Mayor, for right now, but we're both happy to answer any questions that might come up.
I have just a point of clarification. I think you just misspoke. Underneath other, you mentioned contribution from housing. That was in the current year. There isn't anything carried over. Is that correct?
This contribution from,
I'm on page.
No, I think I know the answer. I'll jump in. So we have an agreement with the Housing Commission as it relates to Mechanic Street. They pay us $5,000 per lot sold or 20,000, whichever's greater. Yeah, something like that. And so there's two different things that are
there's two
here.
different, contributions.
We had also, last year, we had talked about, we were thinking we were gonna do this river bank retaining wall project, and the Housing Commission would pay some. So I think that's the difference there.
Well, I'm referring to the very first line where it says 101,009, 580.001. When she was going through that section, that's where you mentioned Housing Commission. There isn't anything.
Right,
I think she just misspoke. That's all I'm trying to do is clarify.
Okay, that's fine by me.
So my simple question is,
Yeah.
that line item, there is not supposed to be anything in 24, 25.
Right.
Correct.
Okay,
But
that's
that,
all I'm trying to get
Okay,
at.
yes, sorry, we made it more complicated.
I caught that too.
Did you? So the other ones that you were talking about, where are they?
That was the one that was at the top of the first page, and you called me during the meeting.
The ones that needed to be reclassified.
Yeah, and that's what she was
Okay.
talking about.
referring to.
Okay, gotcha. Because on our copy, it still is on
Right.
the first page.
Yeah, and
Yes,
she's
yeah, the
since
draft.
changed it. but
Okay,
yeah.
that's why I was confused.
Gotcha.
Tammy, who's
I'm
in
good.
charge of marijuana now at the city?
Joey.
So, that huge potential loss of revenue, why are we from 18 down to 11? Does he do exit interviews? Are
I
they
don't
just
think that's
lacking
a good
business, or
question. I
what's the
don't
reason?
know.
That's gonna be a huge hit to income. to go from 18 to 11.
I guess, you know, the market takes care of
Yeah, we
itself.
don't really
Is that,
do.
we don't know though, we
don't
don't do any,
No,
I mean, sometimes we don't find out they're out of business till no
Right.
one's there.
yeah, we're driving by and
just
we're
kinda
like,
leave.
They just kind of leave, yeah.
Any other business,
right.
doesn't have to come and tell us.
Well, is the allocation based on the number of businesses or the sales?
number of businesses.
Number of businesses.
We don't care how much they sell, if they're open, paid the $5,000 to us to be there, we get paid.
A fee.
Yeah, the fee is based on when they open,
I-
and we recharge it yearly.
Right, the fee I get, but
Well, the other one is based on sales.
The other one's based on
Which one?
sales, so,
The big one.
right, the
The
big,
one from the
right.
state.
The
two different
that we
things.
get from the state.
Our individual units.
The number of units, yeah, the
It's
number
by-
of,
based on the whole state's sales. And then they just divide it up by the number of stores.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with how much we sell in Big Rapids.
Really?
Correct.
Yeah.
How
I've
I've
gone over that many times because I couldn't believe it.
Alright, thank you.
Kind of unusual, I'd say. But that's a big revenue loss. I know we don't go around asking businesses, but maybe something Joey could think about how we're going, visiting the different marijuana stores and saying, how's business, how are you doing, are you looking to leave? Make for better budget predictions, that's for sure.
That's true.
Anybody heard anything? I haven't heard a word. All of a sudden they're just gone.
we had what, 2 or 3 of them that
just disappeared.
disappeared?
I was gonna say the 11 number was new to me, I thought we were about 15.
So, other questions for Carla or Mark or anyone else on the staff?
What
We're gonna
is,
get to a public hearing here in a minute too.
right, what is this paper that's on my thing?
That's gonna come later.
Okay, perfect. I will wait.
Carla, anything else? Mark, anything? We said we're gonna move.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we'll go to, our favorite public comment, not related items on the agenda. Please.
I'm always good for talking, right, Mayor? I'm Teresa Ventusia, and I just want to publicly announce that, you may already know, but I am running again for, Mecosta County Commissioner in District 6. So that it'll be the city of Big Rapids, east of the Muskegon River.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Now, we are going to have a public hearing mandatory public hearing on the budget. And I will follow the public hearing process that Brad gave me. The mayor reads, public hearings are designed to be a time for the commission to receive the opinions of various parties and to gather information in order to make an informed decision when the matter comes before the commission for action. It is not a time of either commission or public debate. That opportunity will come when the item is on the agenda under the general business portion of the meeting. The mayor bangs the gavel. The public hearing to receive comment on the subject of the budget is now open. Does staff have any comments? Would the interested party like to make any comments? Anyone want to make comments on the budget? The commission will now take comments from the public according to the format of having one person speak in favor, followed by one person against, on alternating basis until all who would like to address the commission have had the opportunity to speak. We would request that you speak briefly to the point and that comments previously made by other speakers not be repeated. Who would like to address the commission who favors the issue? Who would like to address the commission who is against the issue? I'm doing what I'm told. Don't you giggle. Mayor bangs the gavel. The public portion is closed. Go over your input. This is getting quite a minute. The commission comments on this subtopic will be reserved for and will take place in general business portion of the meeting. That's it? Very good. The input was deafening. General business. Public Works, the resolution awarding a bid to transfer equipment from a dump truck to another dump truck. It's Heather.
Mayor?
What's that about?
So we ordered a dump truck and we're going to, recommend you accepting the bid to allow us to swap out essentially the plow and the other items that can be salvaged from the old dump truck. With the intent to sell that piece of machinery.
Will somebody buy the old 1998 dump truck? Officer, would you be interested in that dump truck?
Absolutely, if the price is right.
Questions regarding that item? I just asked Mark in private, could our folks do that at the garage?
I mean, if Scott felt capable of doing it, I'm sure he would do so, but he's probably feeling more apt to do it in that specific type of situation.
Very good. Is there a motion for the resolution awarding the bid to transfer equipment from the 98 truck to the 2022 truck?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second. Comments? Jamie?
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Next, there's a resolution before us awarding the contract for instrumentation and controls for the water and wastewater plants currently performed by Top Line. Is there anything to add to that, Heather? Is it just expiring, or,
Correct.
and how long do they usually, 3-year?
We are recommending 3-year and then multiple extensions, and then we'll revisit at that time.
How many people do that? Did you get lots of bids?
This time around, we just received the one from Top Line.
Questions, anyone, for Mark or Heather?
Are they the ones doing it now?
Yes.
How's the fire suppression system coming that they just put in?
We have to get more equipment.
Very good. Is there a motion for the resolution? Oops.
Top Line's putting in the fire suppression system or fire alarm system?
Fire alarm system. Is there a motion for the resolution for instrumentation and controls of the 2 water pumps?
So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions? Tammy?
James?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes. Next is a resolution rescinding the Charles E. Fairman swimming pool fees to make swimming free for all. That was brought up last meeting, and we asked the rec board, Parks and Rec Board, to look at that, and they were, I can't speak for them. Who was there? Heather, were you? What was their final?
Their recommendation is to go ahead and ask for you guys to resend the fee structure for this season, at which point staff would then monitor the pool season and report back to the Park and Rec Board and the pool committee and let them know what were our successes and challenges for the season.
Very good. Thank them for their work. Others, questions? Please.
I have just a comment on it, if now is the appropriate time. I was able to watch that meeting, and I know there was some concern about funding for the pool in the future and the historic funding for the pool. I know that Commissioner James had mentioned a quarter millage at our last meeting, so the commissioners and the mayor will see there's a paper in front of you. Essentially what is on there is an estimation on average of how much it would cost if we did a quarter millage for residential parcels or all parcels in the city. I just thought it would be a good piece of information to have at hand. The way the resolution was written, if there was any way we could make an appropriate note somewhere where we could maybe have a presentation of what happens at the end of the season next year. I mean, if we're seeing max capacity, that might be something we want to revisit if we're going to need additional funding outside of what we normally would fund the pool for.
So Mark, can you put that on the agenda for
Yes.
fall? That way it's on the record, we like to put it on the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Heather and Tammy and Karen, we can all team up to know when it goes to the Park and Rec Board, we need to hear too. So maybe
Not
something
let
in
it
the
slide,
minutes.
so we know early in the year rather than
Yeah.
later. But
For-
I think it's a wonderful idea to have free swimming for all.
Yeah.
Others? What, Heather? Go ahead. You're making sign language, I don't know what this means.
I was gonna say, make a recommendation for the city commission and the park board to have a meeting together at
Oh,
the same time.
joint
Yes.
meeting.
We are due for
To hear
that.
the information at the same, and have an opportunity to talk amongst the board.
You and Mark will arrange that.
We can
in
do
the
that.
fall,
That's a good idea.
After they get all their numbers in.
Yeah.
We usually quit by August first, I mean,
Well,
when
yeah.
it really gets hot.
Another thought I had was, so the average quarter mil tax increase per parcel for the residential would be about $13-14. If we're seeing max capacity usage of our pool, we might wanna look at extending other services or expanding our services. And at that point, we might wanna start having a conversation about how we can improve the pool for greater service to the community, which would potentially justify if we did a millage. The general fund, I think, is robust enough to support funding the pool for free, or otherwise we wouldn't be doing it this year, but.
Very good. Others? We have a motion for rescinding the pool fees for the pool.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Questions? Tammy?
Johnson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Heffley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Very good. It's gonna be fun to see the numbers this fall, to see if they go up nicely because people are using the pool more.
I'm excited for it.
That'd be fun.
Yep.
Next is a very, well, we could skip the next one, it's not very important. But, Clerk Tamara Gillis would like to retire, it's optional. We can vote. Tammy, do you really want us to make a resolution of that?
I do. I wanna sleep in the morning and take naps in the afternoon.
To add to that, Mark's gonna talk about the committee that's, is that on the agenda?
It's next, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion accepting the letter of retirement or resignation, what is it called? Retirement of Tamara Gillis. Hearing none? Motion withdraw.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a very reluctant second.
Simmons,
Yes.
I didn't ask for the question yet.
She's in a beat, she's ready to go.
Go ahead, would you call the question, please?
Heffley,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now, a resolution appointing members of the hiring committee. Mark has chosen some folks and he ran them past me, but probably all the commissioners heard, I think.
I think
At
I've
your
talked to
meetings?
folks about it. We at our special meeting, we talked about Commissioner Johnson and the mayor. I made a call to County Clerk Marcy Purcell, and she is willing to lend her time and energy, and as well as our city attorney, Brad, and myself. That would be 5. That's what's proposed tonight is the hiring committee to replace Tammy as city clerk, with the goal of somebody being in place on the start of September. That's our goal.
We have a motion for that committee
So moved.
and support. Oh,
Second.
questions? Yes, Lorraine.
Well, I was just wondering, and I remember they did this when I retired. What's Tammy's role in this? When they hired people for well, I've been replaced a number of times now, as we all know. The first time around, when they were done interviewing with the interview committee, they sent them down to myself and Jean Knight, and we had the opportunity to talk to them and ask them whatever questions that we wanted to. And then we reported back to, it was probably Sobers at that time, whoever it was. I'm just wondering if that's something that you would like to do with Tammy, with all of her years of experience.
Sure, I think.
I've never heard of that.
Well, there's a lot of things, Mayor, you probably.
I'm as old as you are. It's an unusual conglomeration of things.
Okay.
I think about that, you're dropping that on us.
Well, I just happened to think about it.
So,
Because she has valuable information. She's been here a long time. She may see something in someone that you all don't see, just because you don't sit in her seat, walk in her shoes.
I would invite the committee to invite her to come to one of our meetings and be interviewed. How would that work? Sure.
I would, yeah, I think,
You could do that if you wanted.
yeah.
Well,
But
So, just from a very recent example, but not part of the city process, there's always an opportunity to do, another step to this which would be like to have the candidate come and have not a one-on-one, an interview with maybe Tammy's or the clerk's direct reports. It's not a formal interview, it's a conversation, and at the end, everybody can kind of fill out an evaluation, and that gives some folks who might not necessarily be a part of the formal committee, a way to get input to the committee. So that's one avenue that we could try to do something like that. Otherwise, I wonder if at that point, she shouldn't just be a member of the committee. If there's gonna be yet another interview, that's kind of like,
I don't think we looked at it as like an interview. We looked at it as like a meet and greet with an opportunity to ask questions. That's the way we looked at it.
so we need to address that at our first meeting.
and that's what I was about to say, is I think it's something for the committee to kind of look at and, yep.
Do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if I wanna, I know Marcy will be on there. If I have questions, I get specific questions. I can filter them through.
Well, you won't talk to me, I'm sure, about it.
Oh, probably never.
I won't hear a word.
When's the first meeting gonna be, you think?
I was hoping for next Monday, and I'm sorry, thank you for bringing that up, Mayor. Brad's here next Monday. That was the idea, if it works, that we could pull together our first meeting next week.
Very good. Should we vote? We'll vote on that. Could we vote, please?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Yes.
Before we go to our work session, there's unscheduled business anyone has for the commission.
Mayor, I have one thing, if that's okay. The mayor and I received a email from Ann Hoganson that just thanking the commission for and the Park and Rec Board for the recognition for her dad last meeting. Not too
Well,
long
yeah.
ago. It's just a very nice email, and just wanted to let you know that we received that.
It's very heartfelt and
Yes, yeah.
teary-eyed.
I will provide an update, for the commission with regards to the city manager evaluation, be looking for that, something kind of pulling together all the things that we talked about in your mail next week.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have to move into the circle, or can we do this from here, or Michelle, what do you?
It's up to you.
Fire away, Michelle. The strategic planning met April 24 or some such thing. And so many great ideas were received, and if you read her synopsis, it was kind of amazing at how she came up with all the things that you all talked about. But trying to create something from that we can work on for the city is much harder. And Michelle's been working on it, and it's a ton of work, and take it from there, Michelle.
Okay. So at the beginning of the document you have, you kind of see all of the factors that we talked about at the meeting about what promotes greatness in the city and what promotes demise of the city. And some of them, when we were talking, some people were thinking of Big Rapids only, and I think some people were thinking of cities in general. So not everything in this list I didn't feel like related to necessarily things in Big Rapids. But just as city development or city growth in general. And then as you move further through, we get more specific about how does Big Rapids promote greatness and how does it promote demise. Some of the great things was, our organizations and clubs that come together and do positive work in the city, and that really promotes things in the city, and the art and culture of the city is very unique. I feel like for our small town, beautifying our community. Some of the things that we felt like probably we could work on was communication, not reaching all the cohorts of the city, flagging different areas of the community, and attracting diverse talent within city staff. And then also struggling sometimes with partnerships with communities or county on different topics, issues. We felt like we could do better on that. We felt like we were doing good with the city newsletter that goes in the utility bills, that's reaching people, having a positive impact. We respond to the community staff, very responsive to members when they call or when we get complaints. We created Steve's PR position and moving that into a full-time, doing all of our social media blast. We're pretty good at being transparent and opening opportunity for engagement. And we also felt the newspaper did a nice job of covering our meetings and promoting how the city does business and the good things that the city's doing to allow transparency. Out of all of those lists, I tried to create like a work plan for the city commission and the city staff to be working on. And through that, I broke it down into three categories. The first one is in transparency, and the importance of transparency was clear through the discussion, and currently the city is recording meetings, and we are also currently streaming them online, which is new for us and gives more people access to see the city meetings or be a part of them and make comments. So things we thought that we could improve on, or ways we could improve the transparency for the city, was implement PR and more of the day-to-day operations and task of city staff, so people having a better understanding of what we do, how we do it, the processes that have to be done in order to make things happen. Present information that we do have in a more user-friendly format. Not everyone's familiar with how government works and how necessarily our budget looks. And so trying to find user-friendly formats that the community can understand, provide data or crime statistics about the community, and then also expanding the CIP process to be more open to the public and involve the public more. So those are things we thought we could improve in transparency, relationships and visibility. Steve Gove and I have had multiple conversations about how we should get more people involved by creating welcome packets for new residences that either go out in their utility bills or we get their emails and send it out. strategically increase staff and commission attendance at community events. So I know that staff has worked on getting a list of community events that are important to our community and trying to like divvy up what works for everyone's schedule and who attends those events so that we can make sure we're partaking in those events. Paving all of our gravel streets, working with Eastwood to put sidewalks in and implement the traffic study recommendations we had done, and create welcome packets for landlords to provide new tenants on information on who to call and how the process works for inspections and violations and poly carts and garbage, which are usually the big things that affect tenants and landlords. We also heard a lot about being on the cutting edge and making sure our city is, doing all the things we need to be doing to be up to date. So things we're working on right now are updating our master plan, which when that is done, we think we probably will need to move forward with redoing some of our zoning ordinance to reflect changes in development and changes that were found in the master plan to be updated. Continuing to educate our board about new technologies, programs, and opportunities that are available, and continuing to ensure funding is available for continuing education for staff. And that pretty much sums up all the things that I could come up with and staff could come up with about how to move forward with the strategic plan, but we're welcome for input.
It was a lot of work that Michelle put into what she just presented. It started with pages of suggestions from all of us, and she's trying to hone it down into something that can be used. It's getting there pretty quickly. Michelle, thank you for that hard work.
Yes, thank you.
I just think she summarized it so well.
Yeah. It's not an easy task, and she's got it. If you notice, after listening to you, you and I have met a few times, and you've told me these things. A lot of it focuses down there. Transparency, getting it out there, doing all this stuff. It really focuses on Steve Gove getting all the great things you all do out to the public. I think you probably got that idea when you were listening to him.
And I'm like, oh, talk a lot about me in this. Strategic plan.
But it's pretty obvious, that's all, the commissioners all kind of felt the same way in which she did the synopsis, that really rose to the top. Transparency. Some of the political bodies around here aren't quite as transparent as they ought to be, and I think we should be leading the way on that. So Steve, you got work cut out for you. How much more honing do you want, or do you think it's, you can send those last segments out in bullet points and send them to the commissioners and say, okay, here's what we want you to work on? Are you at that point?
Really your guys' plan.
Yes, I know it is. I work really hard.
So
That's why we have a work session, I believe.
So it's up to you on how much further, we have bullets to work on. If you want them refined, we can work on refining them more, or I can work on refining them more to have action items underneath them. I think none of the bullet points are very big picture. Most of them are pretty honed in, so I don't know that you necessarily need to do that, but if you're wanting to, it's not a problem.
Okay. Karen, go for it. This is a work session.
It is a work session. There are two things that came to mind as we were going through this in more detail. Things that we're already doing that we just probably want to make a note of. And the first one in transparency is that we do have a charter commission that is active right now. And I think we should note that. And, let people know what the charter commission is and what they're doing. The other thing that we're doing in terms of relationships and visibility is, we try to have at least one joint meeting a year, if not more, with the Parks and Rec, the library, and the Planning Commission. And I think, that that's something we definitely wanna make a note of.
Others?
Not at this time.
Staff? Good job, Michelle. Thank you. So bring your, if you have items that you want put in there, it'd be better to bring them to Michelle than to me. Because things happen.
I do have one other, these are kind of the big three, right? I think we're missing, some sort of strategy on diversity, equity, and inclusion. That was something that came up as I lost that page, first page, factors that promote the demise of the city. Racism, not attracting diverse talent. There's a lot of things that I think we should look at from a diversity, equity, and inclusion standpoint for a strategic plan. Beyond saying all that, I don't know exactly what the next part is, right?
I think a lot of organizations have subcommittees on DEI and all those factors.
But I liked the format that you put together, Michelle, and that you talked about kind of where the city's at with it, what we're doing right now, and then here are some bullet points for things that we could do in the future. And I think we did have a lot of discussion about DEI, and maybe there's enough there to start the bones of an outline that we could respond to.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think, Chief Haynes going through the accreditation process
Yes.
probably would fall under
Yep.
that, and
Yep.
making sure that we keep being reaccredited. I think you said today, every 3 years we have to do that. I think we can include that.
The mayor gets interviewed by the chief of police who is doing our evaluation, and she certainly wants to know all about that. Right, straightforward. How does your department do with this? Do you have a racism issue on your department? I mean, she was pretty straightforward, wasn't she, Mark? She knew where it was at, so yes, we
Well,
probably,
And that should really trickle down, right? Because we want all of our departments to be treated the same way, to have the same plans. There was one that I just thought of that slipped my mind. It'll come back.
very good. Others? Comments? Mark, anything from you?
Ferris, this was missing, the fair, that we
Yes.
totally skipped over that on the,
Michelle, I talked about it. We don't know if it's purposeful, but we didn't do a lot of that at the retreat as I thought we would.
I think
it's a bullet point with a goal of some kind, maybe.
you could include it in your relationship. Relationship and visibility, your relationship with other reaching out to other jurisdictions and Ferris.
Others? Brad?
The only comment I would have is, do you wanna turn this into turn the bullets into check boxes and have a report back to see how progress is going on certain things at a point in time? And then things can carry over to the next strategic plan and whatnot, but it's a follow-up step.
Michelle loves that kind of stuff too.
Well, I almost wonder what's the good of a strategic plan if you're only getting out once a year? It would be nice if we built into our timeline, hey, let's do a check-in, whether maybe it's as simple as a study session, halfway through the year. just to keep track, and maybe we add a bunch of things to it at that time.
You got that, Mark, or is
Got it,
Michelle?
yep, I got it. And Mayor, this is sort of quasi-related, but as we think about, joint meetings, I know there's some interest from the Charter Commission in having a joint meeting with the City Commission in July. So, I'll be talking to you more about that as well as the other commissioners, but, I know, summer schedules are sensitive too, so we'll just
Is
have
there
to.
anything legal there, Brad?
The joint sessions?
Yeah, with Charter Commission specifically, is their elected body, and could that be considered?
Well, they're subject to the Open Meeting Act as well, so I mean, you're fine to have a joint meeting, but you can't have it where you've got a quorum of city commissioners at the Charter Revision Commission meeting, making decisions that impact the city, so as long as you're doing it as a joint, advertised joint meeting, that's fine.
Did they give you a reason as to why?
There's the City Commission section of the charter that they wanted to hear from the five of you on. Got it.
Chapter 6.
Yeah, and just in general, it would be nice to get an update on what they're
Yeah, well, I'm sure they could
working
do
on.
that
I'm
too,
sure they
yeah.
would, yeah, it'd be nice to have that
And we
conversation.
would be provided that area, that copy
Yeah, oh, yeah,
prior to?
yes, yep.
They have a packet, just like.
I happen to know somebody that's working with them, and she does an excellent job.
Very good.
Now, their meetings are recorded as well, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So anybody
Go back
listening
and
or
watch.
watching now or in the audience, like you can go on to our YouTube station and find those too, and if you're curious about them.
Somebody has to show me how to do it. I try and I can't get there. But John, you come over. I could not find it. Pardon me.
If you can get the Osprey cam at Ferris to work.
I can get the Osprey cam going. I got
It should be working.
It does, greatly. Others for the good of the city. We're adjourned.
Brad, what-